Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak, joined by my two close friends, Ralph Charay in Belmont, Massachusetts, and Ray Clifford in Marysville, Ohio. How are you doing, Ray?
Good. Nice weather, ready for some more football.
Okay.
Lot to get through here.
All right,
Yeah.
football. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
How you doing, Ralph? You all right?
Yeah, it's beautiful weather here too.
Right. We'll get right into it. Ralph has a classic trivia. I was hoping that there would be Jet news about Hassan Reddick, but of course that didn't happen.
The news is there's no news.
There's no news, so I just want to mention, and
Yeah, we'll talk about him a little later.
talk to him before we do the classic trivia, that one of the biggest fans of our show, Rob August, lost his life partner, Lisa Mazza, and from Ralph, Ray, and Marty, we just want to express our condolences. Rob is a huge fan, and I knew Lisa personally, who was really a wonderful person, a salt of the earth type of person. So I want to wish Rob all our condolences. And with that, let's move to the classic trivia, Ralph, because this is like Ray's highlight. Me, I like the who do you take? That's my
I'm glad I can please both of you.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a two-parter. The first part, you'll give a quick answer. It's just a number.
Before I do anything,
Yeah.
is this is recording? Yes, it is. Okay.
Oh, good, because you're not going to want to miss this.
Okay.
And starting in 1967, the NFL started giving an award for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I believe the team with the most awards is 5. How many do you think the Jet players have won? Just throw a number out.
Okay, we're gonna wait to the end, or we're gonna
No, you can do the number now. What do you think?
Defensive Rookie of the Year since 67?
Yeah.
I'll say 2. Ray?
I'll go with 3.
The answer is, believe it or not, folks, 5. The Jets have the most defensive rookies of the year of any team in the league. Nobody else is even tied with them. Isn't that amazing? And whoever. And so the question is going to be, can you name the 5?
All right, well, let's come back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing question.
That's amazing. The Jets actually have a positive record. It's unbelievable.
But unfortunately, they never make the Hall of Fame, these guys.
A
Yeah.
couple will.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's a good question. But, I believe Tuesday is cut down day. And the Jets and every other NFL team, they have to cut their players from 90 to 53. And then they end up resigning a bunch to the practice squad. And it's a kind of a fascinating type of thing that we're through a boring preseason. But I'm just going to name some players, and we're just going to go back and forth just to see right now if we think they're going to make the 53-man roster. So I'm going to start with Ray. Ray, okay, just say he makes it or he cuts. Ralph, we're not doing the practice squad, right?
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, if you think a guy is going to make the practice squad, say it, and then you can also mention whether you think he's going to last or someone's going to poach him. So,
all right, okay, that's fair enough. Ray, okay, you're up first. You're up with the plate. Chaz Surratt, 53, cut or practice squad?
Right now, I think because of his special teams, I think he'll make the squad.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm going to make it unanimous, but I want to ask you, doesn't he get nicked up a lot over the last couple of years?
He did when he was on Minnesota. I thought he played.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll start with Ralph. Oh, I'll start this one. Zaire Barnes. I think he's going to make the 53. I think he's having a decent training camp. He looked pretty good in the first preseason game. So I'm going to say he's going to make the 53. Ralph?
Well, I would like him to, but I don't know if they're going to keep 5 linebackers. Sherwood's going to be there, and they just don't prioritize linebackers. And he played well in the preseason last year too. He's really a bubble guy, but I have a feeling he might end up on the practice squad.
Okay, Ray?
Uh, I think I think he is a bubble guy. I'm gonna go with he's gonna make it though, but and I won't be surprised either way. But I'd like to see him make it based on how he's been playing in the preseason. But it's preseason and it's not against starters, so it's something that who knows what they see in practice.
Yeah, Ralph, you mentioned, I just want to ask you a question, but you mentioned they might not carry 5 linebackers. Do you see the way Robert Saleh works, if they carried 4, maybe moving some safeties up in the linebacking spot and some snaps during the year?
Well, definitely, because they play it's nickel and dime. I mean, linebacker's just not a big position for him, and I think he might end up needing to another space for another defensive lineman because they really have a glut of guys who are bubble guys, and they might not want to risk losing a couple of them we'll talk about later.
Right.
So I think if they're going to find a space for one of those, that might be at the cost of a linebacker spot.
Okay. I'm going to go on, but I want to just ask Ray first, then Ralph, you'll chime in. Ray, offensive linemen, do you think they carry 9 or 10 players this year? Keep in mind that with the new kickoff rules, there's going to be more kickoff returns.
I because of the history of injuries the past few years, I think they'll try to carry 9, but I don't know if the nice thing is a couple of the guys are can be moved around, which gives them some flexibility if they stay healthy, like Vera Tucker, and it sounds like they're making it so that Fashanu can switch around a little, and so but I would like to say they'd keep 9.
Okay, Ralph?
I think they might keep 10.
I think so too. I don't think it's a fait accompli, but I think because what happened last year, and just the history of the league, it seems offensive linemen are in such a demand by like the first quarter or third of the season. I think they're going to keep 10. Okay, here we go. Ralph, you're up. Tack McKinley, does he make the team?
Yeah, I think he makes the team, and I think he's Hassan Reddick's worst enemy right now because he's playing pretty well, and I think they'll rationalize we're not going to bend over backwards for him because we like the way this guy's playing.
Not only is he playing well, I've watched him on a number of plays, even the plays he gets blocked. You could see one guy get off the ball quicker than the other guys.
Yeah,
he's good off the ball.
Yeah, I mean he has a history with Olbrich on Atlanta, so they were there together for a couple of years. His first couple of years.
What happened, Ralph? He was injured a lot.
Yeah. I mean his first 2 years were really good. I think he had like 6 and 7 sacks, and then he just dropped off. I don't know if it was injury or something in his play. But right. I know Olbrich, has experience with him when he was playing his best ball. So who knows? Maybe it's a good combination.
Okay, Ray, your thoughts on Tack McKinley?
I think he'll make it. I think he's shown that he's still got the ability to be a difference maker for us. I don't know what to think about Reddick. So to me, though, unless I'm seeing something wrong, I think he does give us a little relief there if Reddick wants to make this into a total crap show. But I'm surprised actually Reddick hasn't come in by now. I didn't think he'd hold out for this long.
I'm amazed, and I heard they asked some other NFL players, anonymously, are they surprised that they've seen it? They can't believe he's holding out like this with the $50,000 a day fine. They just can't believe it. I'm going to agree with both of you as a Tack McKinley, and I'm going to start the next one. Brandon Codrington, the guy that looked great returning a kickoff and a punt, or 2 kickoffs and a punt. You know what? I could put incomplete. That's the easy way out till like after tomorrow night. But I guess I'm going to say it's going to be tough. I'm going to say practice squad. Ray?
I'll agree with you, kind of with a similar thought is if he breaks a couple tomorrow, that might change it. But I think practice squad right now.
Okay, Ralph?
Yeah, I think so too, and I think he's going to be tough to hide, especially if he has another
Yeah.
nice return. You know, I watched his returns in college. He returned, I think, 3 punts for touchdowns. Really good stuff. You know, punt returners, they're born, they're not made, and he's got those instincts because he looked like Johnny Rodgers on a couple of those. But here's the one thing to remember, though. What's his name? JBC is hurt. I don't know how badly he's hurt.
Who's
but if
that?
he's Jared Bernard Converse.
Oh, yes, yes.
And Codrington is a cornerback by trade. So I'm just thinking that might create a space for a few weeks.
Yeah, he's 5'8.5".
He's 5'8.5". He'd probably be a slot guy. I mean, but
Yeah.
he'd be like 5th cornerback. It would just mean a space for him there.
It would be like our guy in the special teams the last.
Yeah, Justin Hardy, exactly.
Hardy.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
I see, yeah.
I hope he makes the team. I think their plan is, well, we have Gibson, and if we need a backup, we'll throw Corley out there. You know, even though Corley's, you know, not the threat, but he's competent. So I don't know if but I think they'll need more because, you know, there's more returns. There's going to be more injuries.
That's right. Yeah. All right, Ralph, why don't you start out? Leonard Taylor.
Yeah, I think they have to find a space for him. I think he'd get picked up by someone if he was on the practice squad, which is, you know, one of the reasons I think maybe Zaire Barnes doesn't get on the 53.
Okay. Ray?
I'd like to see him make it. I think if I had my choice, I'd say I hope they keep him over Barnes if it comes down to that. I'm just not sure that I'm not sure how they see him. I like him. I'd like to see him stay. But I'm going to say I don't think he'd stick on a practice squad, but I'd say practice squad at this point.
Right. I'm going to say he makes it, and I'm going to segue into the next name because I think he might be between them and maybe Michael Clemens. I don't think Eric Watts makes it. I'm just not impressed with this guy. I started to like him at the very beginning, but I think Ralph pointed out he looked at film and he didn't look fast to him. And I don't see him making it. How about you, Ray? Eric Watts?
Yeah, he hasn't really stood out to me. Like I say, unless, you know, he's tearing it up in practices, which, you know, can always affect him. But barring that, I don't see him making it. I'm not even sure he'd make the practice squad, but I don't think he'll make the 53.
Okay, Ralph?
Yeah, I don't either. I think if he did make the practice squad, he'd probably stick. I don't think anyone would poach him.
Okay, there we go. We'll go to the next one. I'll start with Ralph. The next name is everyone's flavor of the week. Brandon Smith, the wide receiver.
I don't think he'll make the 53. I think he might make the practice squad though.
Even though Malik Taylor is out for the year.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a number. It's like, how many are they going to keep? 6?
Yeah.
Well, let's discuss it while we have it. Okay, Mike Williams is there. Garrett Wilson is there. Alan Lazard is there.
We dropped one right in his pocket against the Giants.
You see, then it gets a little. Let's see.
Gibson is 4. Malik and Corley is 5.
I think.
What about Charles or?
Yeah, that's true, Charles.
Is Charles might be because of the special teams, is my.
I got to be honest. I'm down on Charles and Brownlee. I mean,
that's the other one I was trying to think.
Brandon Smith, he makes contested catches. I don't see Brownlee doing that. He'll make a nice catch, but then he'll drop balls too. I have to see more of Brandon Smith.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Ralph, Ray was brought a good point before the second game. We were talking about the quarterbacks, and he said, I'd like to see what's his name start.
Martinez.
I think he is going to start.
He is going to start, which it's a great Ray. That was a good heads up. So I want to see that. And I'll mention while I'm talking about him, as excited as I was about the quarterbacks after the first game, they were so bad.
They were terrible. They were terrible.
It was so pathetic. It wasn't even quarterback
Well,
play.
that's the question I was gonna throw out. If they both play lousy again tomorrow, do you think they're gonna hunt for someone else for a third stringer?
I think they have to.
Yeah,
I think their draft pick from Florida State, he's not going to play this year.
no,
I've
I
heard
can't.
grumblings too that his injuries aren't really healing like they thought. So I don't
Oh,
know if it's true or not, but I think they're gonna have to get someone too.
yeah.
So what you think, Ray, if both of them are, lay an egg tomorrow night?
I still like Martinez better. I would be okay, because you're talking about a third quarterback, not a second. So I could see him not bringing it unless they're absolutely, both absolutely trash. I don't see him I'm not sure who they'd bring in that, would be.
Well, there'll be cuts, so that's the thing. There'll
Yeah,
be
there
guys
will be
out there,
guys.
yeah.
I
I
will
guess
say, and Martinez wasn't great by any means compared to the last game, but what was his name? Was it Winstead dropped a touchdown pass from him? So he had a few plays where he made things happen. I like and Peasley didn't look any different to me, but I think Martinez just brings more to the table for what we need in a
and
third.
it's true, he hasn't been here that long either, so
That's true. And
yeah.
the thing about Peasley, he saw Zach Kuntz late in the end zone, and Kuntz didn't help him with his footwork.
That would have been a tough catch.
It would
I
have been tough.
wouldn't watch
I
that.
think a veteran could have had that. I think Tyler Conklin makes that a touchdown, even though it's a little late. So yeah. Okay, what about Izzy about on the but one thing I want to mention, Ray, too, talking about Martinez's play, I thought it went under the radar. The best play he made, it was a broken play, and he ran like 6, 7 yards for a first down over the right side. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
He turned around for a handoff, no one was there, and he just turned and he moved it upfield. So that's good instinct. I like that too.
it is. Well, I mean, that's what he, did. People think he's just a running quarterback, but he can throw. But he did take off running a lot in college. I mean, and he makes things happen. He's not a little guy either. So
Right.
that.
Yeah. Izzy Abandoconda. We'll start with Ralph.
Oh, this is purely a numbers game. He did okay, yeah, the other day. Are they gonna keep 3 or 4? Do they have any fullbacks on the roster that they're
Bawden got cut.
Barton got cut? For some reason I thought I'd heard about another guy that was floating around, but man,
What is
I think Abanaconda is going to be on the practice squad, and I think it's 50-50 whether he'll stick there, and someone
Yeah.
might grab him.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm gonna agree with Ralph 100% on that too. They're trying to put him there. Ralph made a point, I think 2 weeks ago, that they'll showcase him. And if he looks good, he hopes maybe they can get something for him. You never know. What about you, Ray?
I agree. I think it's practice squad at best. I think I don't know if I'm kind of looking through the roster now to see if there is a actual fullback listed on thing. But I got thinking that, he's not a traditional fullback, but Braylon Allen can, kind of
Yeah.
fill in nicely for
he's
one if
looked
we
good.
need him. He's pretty, he's not an easy takedown. So I wouldn't mind if they didn't have one. I'm not seeing anybody on the roster that.
Yeah, I think it's a waste of a spot. It's been
Yeah.
that open for a couple of years.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll start Michael Clemens. I talk about a guy he's close to getting cut and close to starting, which is
Yeah, I know.
And just like Ray, just like we said, all of a sudden, Robert Sal apologizes, saying it was wrong to put weight on him last year. That didn't work,
Yeah.
which we all knew. So I'm kind of gonna say that Leonard Taylor, Eric Watts, Michael Clemens, especially if what's his name?
Reddick. If Reddick's not there.
Yeah, only one of them's be on the team. So I'll say he doesn't make the team.
I think that I don't know. I think they got a thing for him. They like him. They like him on running downs. There's another guy we're going to talk about in a minute, Jalen Holmes, and I like him better than Michael
like him
Clemens.
too.
But Yes, this is what I'm talking about. They have an awful lot of off defensive linemen that they probably want to keep.
I want to go right into that right after we finish this. So, okay, what about what did you say, Ray, about Michael Clemens?
Uh, I like him too. I really, I'd like to, I wish they had just left him on the outside. I think we'd be seeing a different guy. And I think it might take him time to get back to where he was with all that now, but I don't think I don't think he'll stick on the 53. I'm hoping if they put him on the practice squad that he won't get snapped up. He hasn't been all that, he hasn't been, showing so much that anybody's going to jump on him. I think if he does get on the practice squad, at least not right away.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if he
Yeah,
does.
for a defensive end, he just doesn't. He doesn't seem to put pressure on. He's
No.
strictly an edge guy.
Yeah.
Cole,
Ray, what about Jalen Holmes?
I mean, like you said, they've got some tough decisions to make because they've got a ton of linemen. I don't. I think he's a numbers casualty, but I wouldn't mind if they kept him either. But I don't think, I don't know. But I don't know how many they plan on keeping. But they're running out of spots,
Yeah.
especially depending on Reddick.
Yeah, well, Ralph, did we ever guess how many running backs they're going to keep? Any ideas?
Well, it sounds like we all think three at this
Ray,
point.
do you agree? 3 running backs?
Yeah, especially if there's not a true fullback there, then I'm pretty sure.
What about linebackers? 4?
Yeah, I think that's what I would think.
Okay, I think they are going to keep 10 offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Jalen Holmes, I liked at the end of the year. He's been around, but he showed me.
He's always seems to be in the fray. I thought that I heard them say that they saw him sort of as a hybrid like John Franklin Myers, and they were thinking of that. I prefer him to Clemens.
So do I.
I don't know what their thinking is, but I hope they take him over Clemens.
All right, I'm going to give you 2 more. You could answer them both together. I'll start with Ralph. Jack Kuntz and Jalen Key.
Yeah, Zach Kuntz, no. I think practice squad for him. Jalen Key, I don't think there's a. Yeah, I think he's going to go on the practice squad.
Okay, Ray.
Yeah, I don't. I would say Kuntz will probably get cut altogether, but Key, I say at best practice squad. I don't see either of them making the 53.
Well, who's their fourth safety? Well, I was just thinking, do they have a fourth safety, or are they going to keep? Yeah.
Well, Isaiah Oliver or
Right, Isaiah Oliver.
yeah, and I have that. I had a couple of. I want to talk about that in a few minutes, but I'll be honest with you. We spoke about it, and I don't know what's up with the tight end. What's his name from Long Island? Ruckert. He's got to pick it up. I don't want to put it all on tomorrow night's game, but my patience is running out with this guy, and he has not distinguished himself in any way, shape, or form. I was always hoping he'd become the player he looked like at Ohio State, but he just hasn't shown enough. I mean, he went through some snaps where he was pretty dominating on the line, but he's got to show more. I don't know what you guys think, but a little disappointed in him.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in him too. He dropped one in the end zone against the Giants and the other day too. Made a nice catch, but he has to show up more. He seems like one of these guys who gets nicked up and sits when he does. I guess a quote that I always heard from I've said before, and it bears repeating. When Parcells was a young head coach, he went to Tom Landry and he asked him, he said, how do you know when a guy can't play? And Landry said, if you don't get anything out of a guy after 2 years, it's not going to happen, most likely. And, with Ruckert, whatever the reason is, I mean, he's going to get this year. This is his last shot, I think, this year.
Right. I think the only reason why he's sticking, because the Jets coaching staff was coaching that Senior Bowl team. But if you remember that Senior Bowl team, he left early also. He never played in the game because he got hurt. Which, yeah, so
Yeah,
Ray, your thoughts, Ray's a Buckeye, so.
I know.
Well, I do hope he has a better year. I think, to me, I've always questioned why they've kept like Yeboah around when I thought Ruckert should have gotten much more playing time his first year than he got. And
Well,
guys like,
he had that like plantar's fasciitis or
yeah,
whatever, and
but it
you know,
always seems like they're getting somebody who I think we've already seen Yeboah.
yeah.
We've seen his limits, but I am expecting more out of him. I don't worry about his blocking when he's on the field, but I want to see him be more of a guy kind of like Conklin, be a factor in the passing game.
It's a great target, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
Very good target, and
yeah.
And he actually has decent hands.
He
So
does.
not
I
like
he
know.
made some nice, I'd say low-level circus catches at Ohio State.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he's got the ability. I just want to, I
Yeah,
want to see him on the field more and just maybe be,
right.
targeted more, a little more.
Yeah, and I texted you guys, I think it was either Wednesday or yesterday, that I guess the Eagles cut CJ Uzama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No surprise
he'll
there.
get picked up. You'll see,
He's a good locker room guy.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, but I just want to mention too, I want to jump up to one thing I put in my agenda, because I had said it last week, and I know I surprised Ralph when I said I'm worried about their defensive line. What I should have said, I'm worried about the defensive line versus the run. I'm not worried as much as far as the uh, passing. I think they'll give a pretty good push and rush, and we have a good secondary. But I was thinking about it that, last year we had John Franklin Myers and Quentin Jefferson, and now we have, I guess it's Javon Kinlaw and Lecky Fotu. I know nothing about them. I know Kinlaw was a first-round pick, and all the hype is that, he's going to blossom in Salah's defense. But I don't know what you think. I just am a little nervous about the defensive line. So I'd like your opinion after we lost out on John Franklin.
Well, Lecky Fotu they got him. He's a run stuffer. That's his game.
Okay.
So I think he's certainly as good as probably better than Jefferson against the run. As far as Kinlaw goes, boy, there's been the hype machine for him. It's like for Corley. It's we'll see, but the guy's a huge guy. But he really hasn't done it that well. We'll see. I'm not that worried about their rush defense.
Ray, how about you? As Ralph walks me off the ledge.
Well, I had read something about that a couple months back that there were some people who were saying that they thought that's the area that could be a problem, where they've been dominant over the last couple of years, that this could be their weak spot. But I'm not. Yeah, I want to see these guys in action before I'm going that route. I think we've got guys who can step in, and they may not be as good as Franklin Myers on certain things, or and I like Jefferson. I wish we'd have held on to him, but I'm not sure Kinlaw can't be every bit of what he was. I mean, I want, and a lot of times a different system does bring out, quality in guys. And this system, generally the linemen shine in this system.
Well, Jefferson also benefited from playing alongside Quinton Williams, who was getting double teamed every play last year. So
which he will be.
So Kinlaw might benefit from that too.
But didn't Kinlaw play next to Bosa?
He did play next to Bosa. Bosa's an end.
Outside guy.
Yeah, so I don't know if that'll make
Right, you're saying Quentin.
Quinton Williams is going to get a center
more attention.
A center and a guard on him. Yeah.
All right, we'll see. Listen, I think like this defense has been so hyped up, and I think Jet fans got to realize. I mean, you would have thought the Jets won the Super Bowl 60-0 after the Giants scrimmage. You got to tone it down. Teams are not going to show anything that they're going to show during the season. Don't get sucked into like we did with Zach Wilson in his rookie year. Ralph, I can't go through a podcast.
Oh, there we go. You win $50.
Bo Nix was named the starter.
But
well, we know that.
I will say, as good as our defense has been, and as much as it's being hyped, the Dolphins shredded it twice last year.
They
So,
did. But
you
you know
know,
what? You're right. And I've always said, if we had a different quarterback that could sustain a drive, the defense would have been
Yeah.
better than they were.
Definitely,
I
yeah,
agree.
definitely.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
mean, I'm concerned about the edge rush right now without Reddick there. You know, you lost Frank Lamar, who was solid. You know, Will McDonald, he's going to play the part of Bryce Huff. He's going to be there on passing downs, and I think he'll get as many sacks as Huff, more than Huff did his second year. But you know, Clemens, he doesn't strike fear into my heart. You know, you got JJ, who's a terrific player, but hasn't shown that he's a real killer on the edge.
Right.
I think they do need to get Reddick back.
They have to get him back. I
yeah.
agree.
Really hope so.
I really want him. And
You know,
I would really like them if they got him back. I don't know how they could do it, maneuver the roster, but if they got him back, I'd really like to give this Tack McKinley a shot. And
definitely,
I don't
yeah.
know how they're going to squeeze him in, but
Oh,
I would definitely do it.
I think they keep him over Clemens. I really do. And as far as Reddick goes, you know, I was researching. The only player I can think of in the last some years who actually sat a year out was our own buddy Le'Veon Bell.
What do you say, John Riggins?
John Riggins, yeah. Le'Veon Bell, and it didn't work out very well for Le'Veon Bell. The Jets ended up bidding against themselves, and nobody wanted him.
Yes.
Here's a quick question: how old was Le'Veon Bell when he sat out that year?
28.
What do you say, Ray?
Right?
He was 20. He was 26. He was 26. So he was young. He wasn't even that old, and he never was the same player after
never the
that.
same.
Oh.
Yeah. Never the same.
So Reddick, if he sits out, will come back at 31. I cannot. He's not going to get a big contract at that point.
If he sits out, he has even less chance of getting.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, what is the over-under? I mean, does he have to show up by Monday or a week from Monday?
No, remember Chris Jones last year didn't show up till the second game of the season. They signed him after week one, and they still did fine. And contrary to Jet fans who can't stand Joe Douglas, there are other teams going through this struggle too. We'll talk about the 49ers. The Cowboys have their problems all the time with guys.
It's an ongoing situation.
But the other thing I want to point out, being up here in New England, was following the Matt Judon situation for the last year or so. Now, Judon's a little older than Reddick. And 2 years ago, he had like 16 sacks or something like that. Last year, he missed a lot of time. He was playing under a contract for like $6 or $7 million, which is half of what Reddick was getting. And it was ridiculous. And he was complaining, but he always showed up.
Right.
And then when they just traded him, he said, I'm going to show up. He says, I want the team, to get trust in me before. And I think that was a direct knock at Reddick for what he's pulling. And I don't know if Reddick's just getting bad advice or he's just a stubborn guy. I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know.
Am I wrong though? But when they made that trade, hadn't they already discussed with him that they weren't going to?
Reddick had given his verbal word that he was going to. Yeah,
that's the gray area. I don't know if you asked Reddick direct if he would admit to that. That's what I heard too.
That's what I thought, but now I heard some of the the mouthpieces on the radio talking about what were the Jets thinking. They knew what they were getting into, and they knew he wanted a new deal. And I'm like, I don't think that's how it went down.
I think they'd already Douglas had actually offered him something in the last couple of months that they rejected it. But you know what else I heard? I heard that when the Jets traded John Franklin Meyer, that they felt was suddenly leverage, and they did a 180. That's another rumor I've heard.
Well, thinking about it, Ray, I think you're right. I don't look. We don't agree with everything Joe Douglas did since he's been here, but I don't think he's not an idiot. Knowing this guy, I think he would look for some sort of verbal commitment to show up and negotiate while he's in camp. So I'm kind of on Joe Douglas's side with this. And as Ralph said, you can't, you can ask to open a window to negotiate, but there's no, that doesn't happen too often. And the fact that Judon did what he did, it just shows you two different personalities. Now, again, Judon was getting paid half as much as Reddick, so which is very, very interesting. And this guy, again, $50,000 a day, he's getting fined.
Yeah, I think they'll pick that up, though. I don't
Yeah.
think they usually do. The question now to me is, can Reddick come back to camp with his tail between his legs, or does Douglas have to, give him something, to make it, look
Right.
like he saves face? I think he would give him something.
I remember going back, the Jets had to give Mark Sanchez an extra year when they picked up Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make him.
And that killed them.
happy.
That extra year killed them. I'll never forget that. So,
And another thing with Reddick that, Pittsburgh wanted to franchise Le'Veon Bell for a lot of money for
Yeah.
that 1 year, and he never got that money back. Reddick is never going to get, if he sits out and loses 14 million, he's not going to get as much as he thinks he's going to get, and then he'd have to spread an extra 5 million over 3 years for to make it up. I don't know what he's thinking right now, what his agent's thinking, but I don't know if he's got some inexperienced agent who's trying to make his big killing or what.
well, it's like what you said, Ralph. The key would be like after the first game, just like the Jones sign with the
Yeah.
Chiefs. All right, let's move on. We have a few more to go. Which player has a better chance of breaking these Jet records? Garrett Wilson breaking Brandon Marshall's mark of 1,502 yards receiving in a season, or Breece Hall breaking Curtis Martin's record of 1,942 yards from scrimmage in a season. Keep in mind it's 16 games versus 17. Ralph, why don't you start? Which one?
Well, yeah, for context, last year, Breece Hall, even though he had a few horrible games in the middle of the year, had about 1,500 yards total from scrimmage.
Total from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Right.
I think obviously, I think both have a shot, because if Rodgers plays the full year, I think both of them have a really good shot. If I have to pick one, I'd probably go with Wilson, because he's just, in love with the guy and he just looks for him constantly.
Right. How about you, Ray?
I'm pretty much same as Ralph. I think they both could, depending on what happens with Rodgers. As long as Rodgers is in there, I think Wilson would be the one that, if I had to pick, because Rodgers loves pushing the ball down the field, and when he had, look at, with Devontae Adams, I mean, that was the deep guy all the time. I mean, big yards, big plays, and that's Wilson, and I think Wilson's even better than Devontae in some ways, other than the deep ball. Devontae was great at the deep ball and fighting for balls there, but I don't think he was as elusive as Wilson is on the shorter stuff that can turn into a bigger play. So I think Wilson is going to have a huge year.
I'm going to say the same thing. And, there's a lot of talk about the Jets being a run-first team, but we'll see what happens, though. But I think Garrett Wilson is it's shaping
You have
up.
no choice but to be a run-first
Right,
team.
right. But it's shaping up to he's going to have a phenomenal year. All right. Which tandem would you rather have for the upcoming season? Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, or Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson? I'm going to go first. I'm going to say Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Christian McCaffrey, he is an unbelievable player, but 2 years ago he was hurt. Brandon Ayuk, the Arizona State University alum, he's a heck of a player, but I'm going to go with the hometown Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Ray, what about you?
Same. I'll take Hall and Wilson. I mean, I think, again, comes down to, if Rodgers stays on the field, I think we're every bit as dangerous as those two. So I think, this is a good offense for these guys, and I think they both can do everything that McCaffrey and Ayuk do.
Okay. Ralph?
Yeah, I'm sure 49er fans aren't going to agree with us, but
Right.
I definitely would take the Garrett and Breece Hall, because I think they're ascending stars. I think McCaffrey, the year he had last year, I don't think he's going to top that. And I think Ayuk is really good, but I don't think he has the upside that Wilson has.
Right. Okay. All right. before we get to the next question, by the way, Ralph, is Trent Williams a left tackle or right?
He is a left tackle, yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that, but I just want to talk about a guy who, so far, again, it's not written in concrete, but in my mind, he's improved. You know, the way I look at offensive linemen, this guy, Xavier Newman, has been playing a lot better. For some reason, somebody sends me these clips of like Xavier Newman's, all his plays, or like Olu Fashanu, all his plays in the game. And I go through it. To me, he's much better. He's shown me a lot more than Carter Warren. Again, I don't know how it's going to translate to the regular season. But last year, I thought he was not that good, but he's looked a lot better,
They
improved.
pulled him off the street, I
Yeah.
think last year,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but he doesn't play tackle, does he? He, to compare him with.
I thought he
Guard
was,
and
I thought he
center.
was playing guard when we brought him in last year. I don't
He
know.
played
He
some
played center one
center, yeah.
Center,
yeah.
that's right. That's right, center.
But we'll have to see what happens. It's going to be pretty competitive. Just quickly, if they keep 10, you got Tyron Smith, Simpson, Titman, Veritaka, Morgan
Logan,
Moses,
yeah. Schweitzer,
Mitchell.
Schweitzer. Apparently, our quarterback likes Chris Glazer
yeah.
at 7. Jake Hansen, who I liked, I don't know. Or Olu's going to make it. That's 8.
Oh, yeah, right. We can't forget him.
So you have,
I think Newman, because Newman's very versatile. I think they're going to keep him.
what about? So that means.
Oh, wait a minute. No, they
Max
have
Mitchell
to.
and Carter
They have to.
Warren.
Yeah, they have to keep at least one of those two guys.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But I
That
think
is tough. Yeah.
it's going to be tough. The offense, but I think they have to go with 10 at this.
Yeah.
They do. Okay. If neither Trent Williams or Hassan Reddick play opening game, which team will be hurt more by their absence? Ralph, what is this? Trent Williams is holding out?
Trent Williams is holding out. Yeah. I don't know if he's under contract and trying to get an extension or he doesn't have one. I'm not sure. I can't keep track with him and Ayuk, but yeah, he's holding out right now.
I think they're going to miss him more than we miss Reddick.
I do too. Yeah.
He's a heck of a player. How about you, Ray?
Yeah, I agree. I don't, because I think we've got the guys that can kind of fill in, maybe not be as good as Reddick, but good enough. Whereas you lose a guy on that offense and offensive line on theirs, and that's a big game changer.
Okay. All right. I'm throwing in another question. If it was up to you, who would you start at both safety positions if they were interchangeable, like free safety and strong safety? You got to pick 2: Tony Adams, Ashton Davis, Isaiah Oliver, and I missed one.
Chuck Clark.
Chuck Clark.
Mhm.
Ralph? Yeah.
Oh, I want to see Ashton Davis play regularly. I just feel, obviously the love for Tony Adams just gets more and more. All I hear is people just going nuts over this guy.
I can't believe he was never drafted.
They were saying like, oh my God, he's way better this year than he was last year.
So name 2.
Clark and Ashton Davis.
That's who I would name. Go ahead, Ray.
I think it'll be Clark and Tony Adams.
Well, definitely
Yes.
will. Yeah.
Who would
Tony
you
Adams.
like?
But I know I would like Ashton Davis too, but I think they're just going to use him as the guy who is just kind of like the, I don't know.
When they need to recover a
Army knife in the
fumble,
back.
they'll throw him in there.
Yeah.
We need to recover.
Okay. All right. Which play would you prefer not playing the opening night? Brandon Ayuk or Trent Williams? Ralph.
Trent Williams.
Ray.
Trent Williams.
I say
Yeah.
Trent Williams too. I think our secondary could take.
Will McDonald will get a sack and a half if Trent Williams isn't there.
All right. Ralph, you have my favorite feature. Who do you take?
Who do we take? Today we got 2 running backs. One was there 4 years and one was there 5 years. And with their time with the Jets, they, believe it or not, have almost identical stats, rushing yards, attempts, and rushes, yards per attempt, and touchdowns. And it is Adrian Morrell and Sean Green.
Ooh, that's a good question. Ray, you want to start out?
I always liked Sean Green. I liked Adrian Morel too. Adrian Morel was a great, he lasted a long time for somebody who I didn't think was gonna turn into much anything. And
5th round pick, very good pick.
yeah, very good pick. But man, Sean Green, when he'd get going, he'd wear teams down. As a matter of fact, I was so mad at who was our old offensive coordinator when we played Pittsburgh in the playoffs, and Sean Green basically was dragging guys, and then he just gets down to the 3, and he tries some stupid pass, and then the jump over the top by LaDainian Tomlinson. I'm like, what happened to Sean Green? He was wearing them out. I like Sean Green.
I love guys that wear down opponents, so I was a big Sean Green fan. That's who I would go with. Ralph?
Well, I like Morel too, but I think the one difference is that, and it's no fault of Morel's, he played on lousy teams. He never got into the playoffs, and Sean Green really, his rookie year, absolutely tore it up in the playoffs.
Wow.
And was very dominant. So I'll give him the edge based on that.
Okay. All right, Ralph, let's close this out. Anything else you want to add, Ray, Ralph, before we close out this session with the trivia contest at all?
One quick question, because this guy I know nothing about. I was watching the replay of I was speeding through the replay of that last game, and Al Blades, what do you know about? He dropped what probably was a pick 6.
Yeah,
first
yeah.
time.
I hear the guy's name pop up in training camp, but I don't know much about him.
I don't know anything.
I don't
had
think
to
he'll stick.
watch the replay and see the back of his jersey. To see
Yeah.
what it was.
Is he the one that had a family member play in the NFL? Am I thinking?
Yes.
Benny Blades, was he related to Benny
Might have been
Blades?
Benny. I can't remember. They talked about him a little. I can't remember, but they were saying he had
Must be an uncle or a father then. Yeah.
Yeah,
Benny
no.
Blades from Miami.
Yeah.
Who was a very good football
By the way,
player.
he went
the Seahawks.
He went to Duke, and it seems he's one of
Al
the
Blades. Oh, okay.
yeah, no, the blades they have on now. So that
Ray, where'd you get a tape of the game from?
I bit the bullet. I do that NFL Plus, and
Oh,
that way I
okay.
can watch
I
replay.
was thinking, oh my God, to watch these second stringers. But
That's the nice thing is
there's so much tape.
tape.
Yeah, there's so much tape out there. You can watch a lot of it just from.
When it gets around to season time, I'm gonna want to watch the.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ray, I was surprised when I wanted to do the podcast today. Ralph sent me a note before the Giant game. I didn't know if it was
That's what
sarcastic.
I said.
Well, I'm just thinking of Brandon Codrington. This is my guy.
Yeah.
If he breaks one, there's no way they can cut him or put him on the practice squad.
Somebody said, some players stick on a team in sports with one play. I know, I lived through the Mike Battle.
Mike Battle, yeah.
Years ago.
Mike Battle, that was like guys with banana peels tripping all over the place because he was so slow.
That's right. I think we were at Woodstock when that happened, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Ralph, let's go back to the trivia question.
All right, so the New York Jets hold this phenomenal record. They have the most defensive rookies of the year in the history of the NFL, 5. And I want you to name all 5, and you can cooperate. We're a cooperative, not a competitive podcast. So you two guys put your brains together, maybe between the two of you.
Right, Revis and Gastineau, you think they would be in?
Revis, but I'm not sure if Gastineau was or not.
So we'll say Revis.
I said Sauce, obviously.
Sauce.
What about Eric McMillan?
Ooh, good. We'll put him down.
John Abraham.
Okay, good. 4.
That doesn't mean they're right.
No, I know. Those are what I'm going to present to Ralph. So, okay, that's 4.
And I was trying to think of that.
How
God.
about Stan Blinka? No, I'm kidding.
How about Barzo?
Barzo and Vern Golston were Marty and my 2 all-time favorite Jets.
Let's just throw Gastineau just so we could wrap this up. All right, Ray? Unless you come up with
I'm with me.
All right, Gastineau. So Ray, we have Abraham, Sauce, Revis, Gastineau, McMillan.
You got 2 out of 5.
Oh boy.
Was that Revis and Sauce?
No, it's Sauce and Eric McMillan.
Oh, Ray, good
I
one with
did not like
McMillan.
that. I was sure Revis did.
Eric McMillan's the only non-first rounder that did it. The other ones, are you ready for this? Hugh Douglas,
Oh, good one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Jonathan Vilma,
Oh, okay, he had a
two
monster.
guys that they let go because
Let
they
go.
didn't fit the scheme. And it really annoyed me, especially Hugh Douglas. That was the one thing Parcells did that really pissed me off.
Vilma was coming off that knee injury. so
Yeah.
That had some, but we ended up with David, I can't think of his name now,
David Harris.
Harris, thank you.
Yeah. And the fifth one, Sheldon Richardson.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
remember
very
him
good
being a
one.
rookie.
That's remarkable. Yeah, guys like Gastineau. I looked at Gastineau's numbers. His first year, he had 2 sacks. Then he jumped to 11. So he, took him a year.
Oh.
And Revis was a guy that I knew didn't win it, but
Who won it that year?
I don't remember. I'll have to look that up. But he had a good year. Revis. It
Yeah.
wasn't like Sauce's year though.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, I've heard some Jet fans saying how even if the Jets lose the first game, they're going to go like, 13-4. And it's like,
16-1.
giving the game up, I don't want to give up that game. That's such a winnable game.
It is a winnable game. Yes, I
Yeah.
like to playing a Super Bowl loser opening day. They usually take a while. Those teams.
Absolutely.
Oh no, they can win that game.
They can win the game.
Absolutely.
The other thing is, and I saw this, there was a picture they had at the Jets practice. They had what's his name, Brandon Marshall, standing next to Mo Wilkerson. I'm saying to myself, what is Mo Wilkerson doing? What does that guy have any sort of pride? He comes back to what he was there like 2 days in a row.
Oh God.
I couldn't believe it. If I was him, I would just have like a 25-mile radius away from the Jet facility. It's incredible. Maybe the Jets are very forgiving.
Winnable game with 49ers, considering Ayuk and Williams. Trent Williams haven't even signed yet. That team they've got some problems too.
Yeah, potential problems. All right, so we're going to close this out. We will be on the air, maybe not next week, but the week after, to do our preview show. So for Ray Clifford, Ralph Schrager, Marty Schupak, and Jets Rewind, until next time.